Are we live? Are we live? Are we live? Live, huh? Okay. Live. Okay. Hello. Let's share with the friends on Instagram. Okay. Hello, friends. Hello. Drop in the chat if you can hear me well. Oscar, hello, brother. Hello. A long time no speak. Momek, Tarek, hello, brother. Where are you from? We haven't spoken before, I believe. Oscar is the OG of live sessions. Sorry, Momen. I said Momek. Momen Tarek. Okay, from Libya, born and raised in UAE. Hello. Sundar, if it's okay, I will pronounce what is easier from two names. Sundar, you're doing amazing work. Thank you very much. I don't know, I cannot judge by the name if you are a guy or a girl, so I'm going to say, I wanted to say thank you, brother, but I don't know, maybe thank you, sister. I'm not sure. Sorry for not being able to make an assessment based on your name. Okay, guy from India. Thank you, brother, for joining. Oh, I'm guessing it's. I'm trying to calculate. It's past midnight for you. Thank you for joining in these late hours. I appreciate you. Moment, thank you for following and for showing the support. Thank you. I appreciate you. It's cool for me to speak to you. It's cool for me anytime I get a chance to interact with any one of you. Profo 12, or in our language 12. I just don't know where Profo is from. Pozdrav, brate. Sve najbolje. Trad Ayman, yo David. Hello, brother. Where do you come from? Trad Ayman and Profo. Odakle si, brate? Okay. As always, worldwide community in the chat. Makedonija. Veliki pozdrav za Makedoniju, brate. Zemlja hrane i muzike, ali tako? Mislim da sam u pravu. Kyrgyzstan. Marle Semir. Hello from mountainous Kyrgyzstan. Greetings for Kyrgyzstan. One of the countries that's on my short list of countries to visit in the near future. So, Marles, Emir, I'm hoping when I drop by, you have some recommendations for me. And friends, sorry, I'm just looking for my charger. Oh, thank you. Content literally favorite on Instagram. I read everything you post, and I can't compliment it enough in the YouTube videos. So thank you, brother. Thank you. I'm just honored to be able to provide some value. I really appreciate it. Drop me some suggestions what we can discuss, friends. Drop some questions. I don't want this live to be just showing appreciation to me. That's too much. Thank you. I appreciate you appreciating me. But let's see what we can discuss. What you're interested in hearing from me. And while you're thinking, I just need to find my charger. So please be patient. Algeria. Wow, amazing. Thank you, brother, once again for the support. Beautiful Algeria. Just a second. Okay. The charger is here. The live continues. We will not shut down. Okay. Okay. O čemu je live stream? O svemu. O životu. Is steep. I don't know if you come from my Instagram or through YouTube discovery. Originally from Montenegro, but now at this point, long time outside of Montenegro, living outside of Montenegro. Pozdrav. Oscar, lately struggling with empathy. How to be more intentional with empathy. Anyone and everyone can feel welcome to comment as well. Struggling with empathy, how to be more intentional with empathy. I think even concept of being more intentional with empathy is new for a lot of people. Would you agree, Oscar? Because I think you even just asking this maybe will force a lot of people to think if they're even intentional with their empathy. And you can consider also the situation we find ourselves in the world today. How much division, and you know it yourself in your own country, how much division there is, and how many people do you know that are living their days with intentional empathy? I'm not sure if the majority of people anywhere are living with intentional empathy. So I think already even you asking this question is showing who you are. But how to live with more intentional empathy? Do you have any practices? Because I'm always, one thing that I'm always kind of drawn towards, or what I revert back to, is daily practices. I don't want to impose my ideas of daily practices on anyone, because for someone, daily practice that will help them most with empathy will be a daily practice from their religion. For someone, it will be something kind of like mindfulness practice that forces them to to slow down and reconsider how they go about their day, how they interact with others. So I think what daily practice helps you to live with more uh, to live with more intention live with more intentional empathy will also depend on your cultural and individual context. So I mean, uh, I don't want to ask something that is maybe too personal, because for some people discussing the religion is too personal, but I think that will depend. For some people, why not lean into their religious practices for more empathy, because that should be one of the uh, most beautiful sides of all religions, empathy. But if someone is not practicing religion or is not religious, then I think quote unquote simple mindfulness, that is just stopping to spend some time with ourselves and get in touch with ourselves, will help. You say you tend to be dismissive of emotions when the reason behind it I view as insignificant. Maybe then the first step is for you to develop a bit more empathy toward yourself. Because if you're dismissive of emotions, I'm not sure how much empathy you can have towards yourself, and then how much empathy you can have just as you go about your day. Empathy toward yourself, yes, Oscar. That seems like something strange. Uh, Carlo, Carlo, Carlo is asking what's my name on Instagram. Okay, so we have some people who found me just on YouTube. Georgie, how to get more relaxed? Like I feel so tense mentally and physically all the time. I'm not sure. Someone recommended meditation. Just you should try meditation. Yeah, you should definitely try meditation. But uh, of course, you should definitely try meditation. But you should try uh, different practices. You have to try going on a walk. You have to try going on a walk without listening to any music, so that you can spend some time with yourself. You can try going on a walk with some relaxing music. Try without podcasts, audiobooks, things of that sort. Try drawing, and you don't have to be good at drawing. Buy kids, buy children's or kids coloring book, or the where you connect the dots, like step by step drawing book for kids, or there are even now coloring books for adults. So don't limit yourself to meditation, because maybe you find that there are moments where sitting alone with your thoughts isn't relaxing and isn't helping you, at least short term, be relieved of stress. That doesn't mean it's not helpful, especially long term. But if we are talking about something to help you, it's like a soothing technique, meaning its purpose is to help you relax and unwind in that specific moment. Meditation isn't always going to be the best answer, so you need to try out different things. For me, walking is number one relaxation method. And it sounds like walking's okay, like walking is such a basic thing, but yeah, a basic thing that we don't do often, and we don't do often for the sake of doing it. We are always going somewhere. But if you just go for a walk without any pressure on arriving anywhere, and without aiming for 5K or 10K walk or this many steps, but you just go for a walk and just walk, it's extremely underrated. Just a second. We have some more messages. Marla says, how to tell if you're on the right path in what you're doing in life? I mean, professionally. Okay, I'm memorizing. Okay, we also have Juan asking, is the past really necessary for us to dictate our future, or can we start with a clean slate? Trad asking, did you finish your... Okay, I'm going to read all the questions so that I can maybe first answer the easiest and shortest ones. Trad, I haven't finished yet the post series about my backstory, because man, it's been intense, to be quite honest. It's been intense, and I'm going to finish it, of course. I finished what I started, and I'm going to finish that essay series, but it's been intense, so it's been taking more time. And of course, there are some more, how would I call them? So there are some essays that are way more specific and value driven. For example, today I released an essay on one question to ask yourself if you want to be consistent. And I just have to be honest with myself, as much as I want to share my backstory and my journey that I've been on, I want to share it, of course. I also have to give priority to the writing that is specifically directed at you, the reader. So I know you can gain value from me sharing my story, but I also know that when I post this essay that is going to take you like 5 minutes to read, and it's going to be immensely practical, I have to give priority to those things. Or some that are maybe a bit longer and not so much practical, but are written specifically for you. I have to acknowledge that me sharing my story shouldn't be the priority. I'm not sure if it's steep or step, so sorry. I nećeš mi zamjeriti da odgovaram na engleskom, da se ne zbunjuju ljudi. So I'm going to keep replying in English. Ali pozdrav za BiH. I've been traveling the world. I don't disclose my precise information for multiple different reasons, but I've been traveling the world without permanent base the last 3.5 years. So yeah, although unfortunately never been to Mostar. Čuo sam da je prelijep grad. How not to get overwhelmed when consistency pays off not to get overwhelmed when consistency pays off with external success. Okay, that's an interesting question that I want to unpack a bit more, but let me first... Okay, so Juan asks, is past really necessary for us to dictate our future, or can we start with a clean slate? I think a clean slate is, how do we call it? Like very, very, very relative term, right? Clean slate. I think there is no such thing as a fully clean slate, psychologically speaking. That doesn't have to be anything negative. So I think there isn't such a thing as fully clean slate unless you have a brain injury and completely lose your memory. Although, for example, depth psychologists like Jung, Otto Rank, then later on Rollo May, they would argue that even then, if you lost your memory, still there's stuff stored up in your unconscious. So fully clean slate, I personally don't believe in it. Influenced by that direction or the direction of psychology. Is that negative? I'm not sure. I wouldn't say so. I wouldn't say that it's negative that we can never have fully clean slate. It means that we are continuously creating ourselves, and that we are an ongoing process that has to involve always something from the past. But is the past really necessary for us to dictate our future? What I would say, what has really helped, I mean, I could go on a long rant because I've been writing about that a lot over the years, our relationship with the past. A past is open for revision. So it's not just, you're now asking, is the past dictating our future? How about your future dictating your past? Because we are continuously pulling out of the past. And you are pulling out of the past what is necessary for you, what is needed for you. How do we determine what is needed for us? Well, based on how we are positioning ourselves towards our present and our future. So as much as your past is influencing your present and future are influencing your past. So it's not just one way around. And I think that's what a lot of people overlook, because I'm not now going to, I don't want to offend anyone who is dealing with maybe severe trauma that they cannot get over or are struggling to get over. But the reality is, a lot of people would say, oh, like easy for you to say that, easy for you to say that we can change our past. I cannot change my past because I'm miserable right now because of my past. Well, we just have to acknowledge that human beings have the tendency to default to what is familiar. So if the familiar story for you is that, let's say, you're a failure, it's not as if it's fully automatic. We have to acknowledge that just like the human being is more likely when they open the fridge, if they fully allow themselves, if they don't want to, if they want to just fully allow themselves to be led by instincts, a lot of people are going to reach for what is tastiest, yeah, or most tasty, not what is most healthy. Well, the same way, when a person is given a chance to pull out what they need from the past, a lot of people are going to choose what is most familiar, not what is most helpful. What is most familiar for some people is the story, I'm a failure. So all that I'm trying to say is not so simple, like, oh, I've been defeated by my past and that's why I'm now miserable, and it's a never-ending loop that I cannot break. That's not the case. For most people, it's not a loop that is sealed and cannot be broken. So that's kind of condensed explanation of how I see our relationship with the past. I'm not sure how clear it was. Again, this is a topic that's very close to me because I've been quite literally writing the story of my life for the past couple of years. I mean, literally, not kind of like a ego boosting practice, but a practice of rewriting my past, and it has helped me immensely. And I would suggest everyone to start acknowledging the fact that they can change their past, not to lie to themselves, but just to rewrite the whole story. Okay. Okay. We have a question also. What does being authentic mean to you? Is it being authentic to who you want to become, or who you really are right now, no matter how bad it is? I think those two cannot be separated, right? Again, if I'm somewhat maybe of a psychology nerd. I don't want to always quote others, but I will also be lying if I said that this is all coming from, it's been revealed to me in a dream. Of course, I'm influenced by other thinkers, both Jung, for example, or Jung, and Carl Rogers, one of the founders of humanistic psychology. Great psychologist. For example, both of them are known for saying that accepting who you are right now is inseparable from acknowledging your next version. So, I mean, being authentic, for me, it's even a broader term, but when you say is being authentic to who you want to become or who you really are right now, no matter how bad it is, I just wouldn't want us to give ourselves the excuse, to say, okay, I'm lazy right now and I'm just then going to be my authentic lazy self. Well, let's not do that. But I'm trying to think of an example or to make it more tangible. Authenticity. For me, authenticity is, also requires an ability to listen to our inner voice. Again, depends on different people's belief systems. We have to also make some choices in terms of what we believe in, because we are talking about the mind. No one can measure authenticity. So what I do believe that there is a higher self. So I do believe that in every single human being there is one part of you that is calling you to be more than who you are right now, because that part of you knows that you can be more. What does that more mean? I don't know. Not everyone will end up in history books. For someone it means to be a better friend than they are. For someone it means to become the best kindergarten teacher that they can be. So different people are called to become different great versions of themselves, but I believe that every single person has that higher self. So for me, authenticity is listening to that, first the ability to listen to that voice, and then listening to that voice. That's for me authenticity, or one of the most important aspects of authenticity. I don't want to ignore, for example, Marles before asked about how to tell if you're on the right path in what you're doing in life. I mean, professionally, man, that's the most difficult. I mean, not the most difficult. Maybe it seems like the most difficult because it's so important and because it's such a big part of our life. How to know if you're on the right path? Are you excited? Does it feel meaningful? Is it making you miserable? So I don't know how this sounds for some. I don't know how this sounds for people, but I will start with these. Maybe even they sound like less ambitious things. So first, is it making you miserable? Then is it meaningful? So it doesn't even have to be extremely exciting, but is it meaningful? Meaningful, that doesn't have to be something that you're always passionate about, but it can be meaningful. So right path, I also don't believe in single right path. I think you make it the right path. You can also make it the right path by then changing it, and then it makes sense for your story that for some period of time you were on that specific path, and then you changed it or turned. But if you are on the right path, Marles, I'm not sure how old are you, and I'm not sure what your current experience is in terms of professionally, how long you've been in specific job or a career, but I'm not sure, or I think you shouldn't, or anyone shouldn't put pressure on themselves to feel like there is this one thing that they have to find and they have to get it perfectly right. Okay, I need to nail it. Okay, I need to get this job and start this career that is going to be my ultimate passion, and I have one chance to get it right. I think you need to give yourself I think you need to give yourself a chance to test out the path and see if there is a possibility and they need to make an adjustment. Stipan. Okay. I think about your Instagram post, especially about the one about flow state and being in the present. Okay. I hope you like them. If you have any questions about it, feel free to ask. Juan is on the way to library. Brother, do some journaling. And you know what prompt I will give you? Try to divide your life into chapters for a start, just to get a sense of your life being a story, because it is a story. I'm saying now this to everyone, like your life literally is a story. It is a narrative, right? It is a narrative, because what makes it a life rather than just a sequence of events that happened to the same person. So what makes it a narrative? What is a narrative? Narrative is a story. What makes your life a narrative? The fact that you're connecting all of the things that happen to you, all of the periods of your life. So it quite literally is a narrative, a story. When it isn't a narrative and a story, that's a big problem. So for almost all of you, for just a second to kind of recollect my thoughts, I think most people are not fully aware or are not thinking. So it's not at the forefront of their awareness that life is a story, but it comes natural to us to live it as a story. So on one hand, you are following the truth in the sense of your life being a story, but I think we should engage with that truth more, because then you can get a lot out of it. Stepan, I've read, of course, Viktor Frankl's Search for Meaning. And that's one of the books that changed my life. That's one of the books that changed my life. And actually, for some context, because you are new here, I've been writing online for 5.5 years. And you can imagine, not a lot of people expect a guy from Montenegro to write about because philosophy and psychology is kind of how I started writing. And so you can imagine also how relevant Viktor Frankl's book is for me, because he's a psychologist. He founded logotherapy, but he's also a philosophical psychologist. And Man's Search for Meaning changed my life in a profound way, definitely. Eleazar Lopez, brother, I think it's been a while. I believe we've talked before, if I'm not mistaken. It's been hard trying to engage with life. Trying to find work feels impossible in times like this. Man, I'm sorry to hear that. I know it's for a lot of the world and for a lot of people in most parts of the world, it's been difficult when it comes to finding jobs, things like that. When it comes to trying hard to engage in life, I'm not sure. I mean, you know how much I write about engaging in life, but I'm not sure what it means for you, because from my perspective, man, if you are struggling to find work, you are addressing the most important thing in front of you right now. So I would love for you to find the time to relax, to find the time to play, to do something that is purely for fun and enjoyment. I would love that for you, but I just want to acknowledge that if you're now at the point in life where you have to find work, I think you're engaging in life just by the fact of engaging with that task. And if we can connect that with Man's Search for Meaning that Stepan referenced, one of the ideas from Man's Search for Meaning that's really changed me in a profound way is acknowledging that the meaning of life, first of all, is individual. And then for every individual, it depends on the moment of their life. So now I don't want to get into semantics. Is there the ultimate meaning? Is it this? Is it that? Every individual, I'm fully acknowledging and accepting the idea of Frankl that every individual has that for the individual, the meaning of their life is the task that is in front of them right now. So maybe you have some higher meaning in your life, but also you could argue that the current meaning of your life is the biggest task in front of you, and the biggest task in front of you is to find work. So I would say you're very much engaged in life if you are engaging in that task. I'm sure it's not the most fun and enjoyable thing to do, but I just want to encourage you to give yourself the credit and to know that, man, you are engaging in life when you are addressing the challenge in front of you. Alessandro, hello, brother. Just want to say that I started journaling, then I got bored, but I suddenly remembered your 5 parts mental memory guide. I read it all, and now just love to journal it. Man, thank you so much. I really appreciate you. As much as you found help in something that I created, I'm now receiving from you. You know, when you acknowledge my work and when you say that it helped you even a little bit, man, that's a great honor. Okay, Peter, or maybe it's pronounced a little bit differently, but okay. Sent you DM on Instagram. I think I saw, because now by reading your question, I think I saw one. Similar message. Okay. These past 2 months, I've faced a tough decision, and finally, with the help of Jordan Peterson's 12 rules for life, especially Rule 7, I decided. It's experience versus meaning, and the thought is that meaning is sometimes suffering, and meaning can be found by fighting through the unpleasantness in our life, not running away from necessary suffering. Okay, we are now on a roll. You know, Stepan mentioned man's search for meaning. Eleazar mentioned also kind of engaging with life and struggling currently, and now we are on this role of somewhat the same topic. So please go ahead. And K2, hello, man. Hello. K2, thank you, brother. I mean, brother. You know, it's kind of, it comes naturally for me to say brother, but I don't know who you are. So let me know if you're a brother and where you're from. And thank you for appreciating my work. I'm originally from Montenegro, or Crna Gora, Southeast Europe, but not living there for the last couple of years. Peter, listen, I mean, as I said, we've been on a roll talking pretty much about what you're saying. Pozdrav, Lemi. Ovakle si, brat. So, Peter, you say you would love to talk more. I've been on this self-improvement journey for 3 years with a more heavy focus on reading and journaling. By talking more on this live, I'm not going to invite people to join, like to join. How would you call it? To join and to join via video call, maybe in some of the future ones. But if you want to discuss something more in terms of what you mentioned, you can type in the chat. But maybe at some point, if by talking more you mean joining via video call, maybe we'll do that on one of the upcoming streams. But this time I'm somewhat limited with time, so I want to give everyone a chance to type something. But just to give my comment on the not running awareness from suffering. Once again, Stepan here mentioned man's search for meaning. You were mentioning Jordan Peterson. Peterson pretty often references Viktor Frankl when talking about finding meaning in suffering. It's engaging with the task in front of you. So, I don't want to, on this live stream, to talk too much about my personal life. I've written about it on Substack. I can link my Substack if anyone wants to read, but I found the greatest source of meaning in my life in some challenges that were deeply personal and that involved a lot of sacrifice and that were far from my dream vision of my life. Now looking back, is by far the greatest gift that I ever received. It's difficult to look at suffering and say that it's the greatest gift that you received, especially when that suffering includes your loved ones. You can way easier arrive at the point where you're looking at your own suffering and you're seeing it as a gift and as a blessing. That's a way easier thing to arrive at. But when your loved ones are suffering, it's more difficult to say this is a blessing. However, while acknowledging the suffering of my loved ones, I also have to say that, certain challenges that I've been given, although they were painful, and I mean, to this day, some of them are painful, it's by far the greatest gift that I received in terms of meaning. So I fully agree with the idea that meaning can be found in challenge and suffering. Lemi, pozdrav za Srbiju, brate. Okay, to brother from India, all the best. A, your Substack is great. Thank you, A. Thank you. And okay, let me link my Substack. Maybe some self promotion, and for those who haven't had a chance to read, why not? It's my life after all. I could do some self promotion. Why not? Let me. Where is it? Okay. Okay, Peter, I have a problem with forgetting things while drinking and had a choice to stay in the comfort of studying in the States to avoid this problem, even when rationally studying in Netherlands. Is better. It's just uncertain, also has drinking. The Netherlands path has way more uncertainty and problems, which is why the decision was so hard to make. Once again, is uncertainty the reason to avoid a path? Not necessarily, right? Sometimes uncertainty is exactly where you go. Okay. Talk about courage, brother. What does it mean to you? I'm someone who feels more than normal levels of fear in everything I do and feel like a coward for always running away. Okay. Just a second. I think there was before. The same person asked, why are some people so brave without even trying, while others have to gather days of courage for even getting out of their house? Great question. I love this, and I think it's interesting to discuss. And this is brother from Pakistan. Listen, brother, you know what I would say? For example, here is where Morita therapy, Japanese psychology, helped me. Not necessarily helped me too much. I've already kind of figured out some of those stuff on my own, but it helped me have some frameworks, so then I can help other people. What I would say is, first, this: you cannot take that as an exclusively negative trait. So I'll now put courage aside, okay? Now put courage aside for a moment. If you are on psychological, even physical level, feeling discomfort when trying to do certain things, that's why because courage is a moral virtue, okay? So are you able to be honest when it's difficult to be honest? That's courage. Maybe you are experiencing intense fear with social situations, for example. Also, it will be, you can give some more context if you want in the chat. But I would say that the goal for you isn't to stop feeling that way. The goal for you is to start doing the things while feeling uncomfortable. So I'm going to share something that I don't usually share, especially not like this, not to the open public. But man, I've had good social life. I cannot complain. I always had good social life, but a lot of it was also kind of somewhat out of luck and fortunate circumstances of where I lived, and also maybe certain qualities that I didn't necessarily, didn't necessarily earn, but was given later on. Maybe I did some work, but what I'm trying to say is I'm not going to now act like I've struggled too much in social life, but throughout the whole time, actually, I wasn't really myself because I was struggling with social anxiety. So I would, I would have friends, I would hang out, I would have girlfriends, but I was actually extremely socially anxious and was coping with it in a different way. And then when I made a switch in my life to start showing up more authentically, to start being who I'm, expressing myself in an honest way, expressing myself the way I am, sharing what's on my mind, then like I was overwhelmed with anxiety and insecurity, because up to that point I was basically faking it and succeeding in the society and the social game through faking it. But then when I became a more honest and authentic version of myself, it became very difficult. And man, like I was I was struggling to interact with strangers, things of that sort. And I spent a lot of time overcoming that and practicing and breaking through the barriers. And I've been on that journey for years and years and years. And then after years of that journey of becoming more comfortable, I approached in a in a kind of office space. I approached one beautiful girl at that point in my life, the most beautiful woman that I met, and who would spoiler alert end up being my girlfriend. And I approached her I thought in a very smooth way, in a very smooth way. Probably without being too pushy, just something very very casual, and we had a very short conversation, nothing too, again, nothing too pushy. And then by chance we met another time and another time, and later on we went on a date and multiple dates. She ended up being my girlfriend. And when I asked her, or we touched on the subject of when we first met, I thought that I was very cool and smooth because I've spent years trying to overcome my inner fear and social anxiety, so that I learned to be very smooth. And I thought that I won her over with how cool I was. But she actually told me what was most attractive to her was how obvious it was that I'm nervous. And I was like, what? I wasn't nervous. I was trying to defend myself. And then I realized that it's so stupid to try to say that I'm not, that I wasn't nervous. And where is my point in all of this? If you are by nature someone who is experiencing internal discomfort more than others or more than the average person, my perspective is I would make peace with the fact that I'm different in some way. And I'm always going to be different to some extent. And I will never be that other type of person that I'm looking at. So I have to notice how can I manage parts of that uniqueness so that they don't paralyze me, but always allow for parts of that uniqueness to make me as unique as I am. I'm hoping this is making some sense. Because if you are saying that social anxiety, which causes inauthenticity, and it's so hard to see when you stop and see that everything you do is out of fear. Okay, you know what would Morita psychologists would say? They will say, okay, this is a sign that you care intensely about genuine human connection. Not that you care about what others think, because we always like to phrase it in a negative way. Oh, you care what others think. Everyone cares what others think. Maybe to a different extent, but everyone cares. So again, Morita psychologists, I love how they phrase it. They would say, Okay, this is a sign that you genuinely, intensely care about human connections. So now it's about challenging yourself. And you know what I would say to you. You know what's as an overthinker, of course, fellow overthinker. You know what would be my challenge to you? Go and have a social interaction, and just embrace the discomfort. And when the interaction is done, intentionally make peace with the fact that there are a lot of things about the interaction that you are unsure of. Because I'm going to ask you now a question. Please answer me. Please answer me. And anyone dealing with social anxiety, please, or social anxiety or social overthinking, please answer. So for Stark and for anyone else dealing with similar things, my question to you is, what type of feedback have you received more in life? Feedback from other people that you are weird and uncomfortable to be around, or internal feedback in the form of over analyzing how the interaction went? So tell me, out of these two types of feedback, external feedback from people saying, oh, you are weird, it's difficult to be around you, it's uncomfortable to be around you, that type of external feedback, or internal feedback where you are, oh, I didn't say this right, and this, which one of these two happens more often? Please answer. Ooh, Alessandro, but there is a book in particular that speaks about Morita therapy. Yes, a couple of them. Unfortunately, man, it's falling into obscurity. Very, very sad. I mean, I'm not saying like Morita therapy is the providing answers for everything, but definitely a school of psychology and psychotherapy to be acknowledged. But falling into obscurity, I'm going to tell you that constructive living by David K. Reynolds is constructive living is kind of a movement that David K. Reynolds, American psychotherapist, he tried to popularize Morita therapy and Naikan therapy. That's another Japanese psychotherapy. He tried to combine the two and kind of make them more digestible for Westerners. So constructive living. Then he wrote a book. He wrote many books about those things, but I'm going to be honest, with all the respect for him, a lot of those books are very similar. So just the basic book is Constructive Living by David K. Reynolds. Okay, Stark, you're saying most of it is internal feedback. Some people do call me weird behind my back, but it's really rare. Okay, so everyone is being called a lot of things behind their back. Okay, so that's... If it's mostly internal feedback, then can we agree that you have a responsibility toward yourself to allow yourself to have more interactions? And listen, you know also what? I'm fully aware that we are not just rational beings, and I cannot now reprogram you. You know, you're receiving now inputs and understanding on a rational level, and now just all of a sudden everything's changed. No, I know that's not how things go. Because tomorrow I'm going to maybe have an interaction where I feel immensely uncomfortable, and I won't be able to do anything about it. So I'm not suggesting that now what I'm saying is going to change you and how you feel. I'm pointing at the task in front of you. I'm pointing at the challenge in front of you, and we have to engage in the challenge and the task. And your challenge and task, man, is to do right by yourself, to give yourself more chances to interact with people. Juan is saying both honestly. Man, that's also fine. That's also fine. I think it's more important to address the inner feedback. Arya is asking, what do you think about the book, The Courage to be Disliked? And I think before Alessandro asked about Adlerian psychology. So we have the connection there, Adlerian psychology, and I know The Courage to be Disliked is by a Japanese author, but a Japanese author who studied Adlerian psychology and wrote the book Being Influenced by Adlerian Psychology. By the way, The Courage to Be Disliked was in the book club of my online community. So we spent a couple of weeks reading that book. What do I think about both Adlerian psychology and The Courage to Be Disliked? Okay, I'm going to put it like this, actually, reverse the order. I think The Courage to Be Disliked is a great book to get familiar with Adlerian psychology. And I think Adlerian psychology and Alfred Adler deserve 1 million times more recognition and attention than they're getting. So then it's a great book. I'm not sure if the is the how do I put it? I'm not sure it's the book that is going to give you very, very detailed, comprehensive knowledge of Adlerian psychology, but I think it's a great book to get you interested in it and to give you, provide you with some concrete value. But Adler, because maybe some context for some people here, Alfred Adler was contemporary of Sigmund Freud, and Carl Jung wasn't really a student of Freud, but wasn't really on equal footing when he was part of the school of psychoanalysis. Adler was on equal footing with Freud, because Adler was, I think, around same age like Freud, and he was well established, and so Adler was same age as Freud, well established, and he was part of the school of psychoanalysis. They parted ways, so Adler left Freud, Carl Jung left Freud, Otto Rank left Freud, and Adler was the least extravagant out of all of them. So with all due respect for Carl Jung, who I'm influenced by in many ways, with all due respect to him and Sigmund Freud, Adler is arguably even, I'm maybe even more influential than both. It's stupid now to say who is better or greater psychologist, but when you look at how they influenced, difficult to say, more influential than Freud, but some of the greatest psychologists of the 20th century were immensely influenced by Adler. So yeah, The Courage to Be Disliked, I think, great introduction and something to get you interested in Alfred Adler. And for Alessandro, if the answer wasn't clear enough, what I think about Adlerian psychology, I think it's, first of all, Adler is a giant of psychology that needs more recognition nowadays. And I don't think any school of thought provides all of the answers for everything, but I find immense value in the work of Adler. Okay, we had Jovan, pozdrav iz Crne Gore, ali ne mogu da pričam na našem. So we'll have to keep talking in English. The other person that was sending messages in our language is, an idiot. Okay, Peter saying that meditations help him with social anxiety, as well as reading books that advise on how to act socially. These trick the subconscious into confidence. Man, I'm going to say that I disagree with that, like, very strongly. I think for a person who is naturally socially anxious, practicing the skill, like someone who is naturally socially anxious, in an intense way. Focusing too much on the skill of social interactions is, is a disaster waiting to happen, and not disaster waiting to happen in terms of one bad interaction. I mean, in terms of becoming, becoming like one of those cringe guys that do podcasts, trying to explain how they get a lot of girls, and you see that they're, just that they're losers. They're not losers because they were anxious before or insecure before, but they're losers because they're not themselves. And I think focusing too much on the skill, uh, yeah, there are some basic things. There are some basic things like, just be somewhat composed. Don't rush in the way that you're speaking. Don't rush too much, and be respectable. Have manners. I think those are skills that are worth learning. But uh, diving too deep and ending, because it's a very clear path of the guy who just ends up buying all of the books and courses on how to become confident and how to be socially comfortable. That's a clear path to becoming like the most fake person ever. So my opinion is that it's not really a good route to take. I mean, maybe we're not talking about the same type of books, but listening and being interested in the other person. Okay, that's one of the things that I meant when I said some of the basics and foundations. But then you have the things like the game, and you know what I'm talking about. There are levels, so foundations for sure. But where, I think it's very important for people to be careful. I would rather advise someone to, not advise, I would rather have someone who is more anxious and more kind of weird and clumsy than have someone who is too smooth, because no one trusts those people. No one, I mean, you can notice, okay, you can notice when someone is highly extroverted and charismatic, and you can sense that that's a natural state for them. But you can also notice a person who's just been practicing too much. And I know from the man's perspective how they view those people. And also, I would also say that I've I've had enough experience with women where, especially nowadays, man, like nowadays, if you and I guess, social skills for men most of the time end up, you know kind of going in that direction for the purpose of also, one of the main goals is being able to meet a romantic partner. And especially nowadays, I think in this age of like pickup artists, to be too smooth is inauthentic, and it's going to make the girl like be kind of hesitant. So from my experience, and I can say that, as I said previously, I had my I have to be honest, I've had great experiences in my life when it comes to developing friendships and romantic relationships. And not being the smoothest guy, I would say, helped me more than it hurt me. Alessandro, Alessandro, brother, I'm happy for you that you're diving into the courage to be disliked and Adler. And trust me, Adler, like, I'm going to write about him maybe sometime soon, because okay, here is a book that I have here with me, The Art of Counseling, Rollo May. So Rollo May, one of the greatest American psychologists of the 20th century. Enough cannot be said about him. Really, like a giant of American psychology. And for example, he wrote this book just after he returned from, was it Vienna or somewhere else that Adler So he studied under Adler because he was younger than him. He studied under Adler, and later on, Rollo May became the one of the main and most important American psychologists of the 20th century. But this is from the beginning of his career, where he learned the art of, or he was learning the art of psychotherapy and counseling, and largely inspired by the time that he spent studying under Adler. And you can see just how much he learned from him. And this is a very rare book. Like I had to, man, I had to work in terms of research and digging around to find this book. And like, because Adler's understanding of human nature is very optimistic, but not in a naive way, not in a new age way where woo woo, everything is sunshine and rainbows. No, like grounded but optimistic and encouraging view of human nature. So cannot say enough good stuff about Adler, especially nowadays when, man, like, who is talking about Adler, or even who is talking about Rollo May amongst intellectuals nowadays? I don't see anyone, which is a great shame. I mean, intellectuals who are talking about mental health, who is like Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris, who is, I mean, I don't know who else nowadays, who is the person, because I completely stopped watching and reading anyone today. Who is another? I'm trying to even to think. I'm not sure. Yeah, I'm not even sure, but they are not mentioning the most important minds of the 20th. Everyone's talking about Carl Jung because it's cool to talk about shadow work and archetypes. But there's so much more, or so many more people talk about so many more important ideas. So yeah. Any advice for people trapped in nihilism, aka nothing matters anyway? Ooh, I'm hesitant to give you like some straightforward advice, because I think nothing that I say or someone else says like can convince you on a rational level, because I've been there. And I think nothing can convince you, and nothing is supposed, and no one is supposed to convince you otherwise. I think it's a process. It's a process that you have to go through. So I have no goal of telling you now something that is going to convince you otherwise. What I would say is zoom in. Zoom in. What do I mean by that? What is in front of you? Who is in front of you? Nothing matters anyway. Yeah, man. When you zoom out, in terms of scale and time, like, you are so small and not important. In 100 years, maybe you will not be forgotten in 100 years, but in 200 years, no one will be alive who remembers your name, whatever. Things of that sort. When you zoom out in terms of scale right now, while you're alive, in terms of scale, nothing matters. Or when you zoom out in terms of time, you're alive for such a incomprehensibly small amount of time when you're looking at the span of history. So yeah, but then you zoom in, and you pay attention to things around you. You pay attention to people around you, and I'm telling you, I've been where you've been, but appreciating people, appreciating. Learning to appreciate human connections more, and learning to appreciate the impact that we have on each other. That's one of the main things that got me out of it. But once again, I'm not now trying to get you out of it, because I think it's a process that you need to go through. But I would urge you to look around you and to focus on zooming in on what is the task and responsibility in front of you, and who are the people in front of you who can count on you, who would like to be able to count on you, people that you can impact, people that you are impacted by. I can tell you that one of my best friends that I consider a brother, when I met him, his father had already passed away. But I've learned so much from his father because his father taught him a lot of things and helped him become a great man. And then this young man became a great, loyal friend. So even though I never met his father, even though his father passed away before two of us became friends, I am still to this day directly influenced, and my life is made better by his father. And his father isn't in history books, but his father changed my life infinitely for the better because of how he raised his son. And every single person that has at any point in time received value from what I'm doing, part of that credit goes to the father of my friend, and also a lot of other people that influenced me in my life, but specifically goes to that person that I've never physically had a chance to interact with. And then when you think about that, like, man, like everything matters. Everything matters. That's how I see it now. It's not that nothing matters, everything matters. So yeah. Can you imagine that I'm genuinely telling you that everything that I do and all the value that you get from me, I could talk for days about all of the people who deserve also credit for who I've become and what I'm able to do. So yeah. Thank you for being receptive to hear my opinion. Arya saying David off topic. No, no homo. It's okay. It's okay. We are civilized people here. But no homo. But you have a really amazing physique. I want to ask if what all it took to get there. As a skinny 21-year-old starting with just a kettlebell at home, I'm really inspired. Oh, starting with just skinny 21-year-old starting with just a kettlebell at home. Send me a message on Instagram, okay? Because I could go on a long rant. So let me give you a bit more detailed answer, okay, on Instagram. Because if I now start talking about different things, I could maybe hijack and take the conversation in different directions. So thank you. I appreciate the compliments. And with one kettlebell, you can do a lot. One thing that I can tell you right away, if you are because you said no homo, I'm assuming that you're a guy. For a guy, I would say right away, man, get an access to a pull-up bar. You have to if you want to well balanced physique. Like you can develop a really good physique with literally nothing, just floor and your body. But if you have a pull-up bar and some weight, like you can develop a better physique than 99% of people in the gym. Okay, I like reading about stoicism. Ryan Holiday writes clear and easy books. Yeah, I appreciate him. I appreciate him for writing, as you say, clear and easy books, clear and easy books. And I think that's in academic circles, that's something that they need to take note on, because Ryan Holiday has done more for stoicism than any scholar, because okay, Ryan Holiday is not a scholar, he's not an academic, and we need to also, I have to say, we need to acknowledge that, like his knowledge of philosophy is full of holes. So he's far from someone who is like very well versed in philosophy. I don't know if I said previously psychology, or I'm talking about philosophy. So like, he scratched the surface. We have to make a distinction. So stoicism is one school of philosophy, because sometimes someone tells me that I have a stoicism, that I'm writing about stoicism, because they think stoicism equals philosophy and philosophy equals stoicism. Some people who haven't had a chance to understand that philosophy is so much more. But back to the point of Ryan Holiday, when it comes to philosophy, he is far from being knowledgeable, or yeah, knowledgeable. I think is a word. But even stoicism, like I've seen him give arguments that show. I've seen arguments that show that like he could use some deeper digging, because for any school of philosophy, for any school of philosophy, you also have to do some reading on some other schools too, because a lot of these schools are responding to each other. A lot of these writers are responding to each other, so it's good to start developing the understanding of the context, historical context, in terms of history of philosophy, so on and so forth. So, istina, Crnogorac. So I think that he's done a great job of bringing stoicism to the wider audiences, making it more accessible. Although stoicism is fairly accessible in terms of reading. So all the respect to him for learning, or helping people learn about stoicism, helping people get interested in stoicism. It's just that, yeah. I think it's a great starting point, but I would urge everyone to go deeper. Greg, I'm not sure how to pronounce Greg Creech or how, but I've read his The Art of Taking Action and Nikon. Writes clear and easy books on Nikon and Morita. Recommending him while we wait for the time that you write your own book, David. Thank you, man. Thank you. Hopefully soon. I won't speak about it now too much, but thank you. And man, I'm really curious. How did you stumble upon Greg Creech? Because he's also completely like outside of the mainstream discourse, right? He's like, I think there is no single video of him that has more than like 30,000-40,000 views on YouTube. Like, not I think I never saw a podcast with him or anything that has even 100,000 views, let alone 1 million. So I'm just curious, because, for example, like Ryan Holiday is such a well-known name, but while Greg Creech is, I would say, very, very niche. So I'm curious how do you discover him? Andrea. Hello, David. I'm a big fan. I've been following you for several years. I know Andrea because I know that you have the same profile page on, or at least you had the same profile page on Instagram. So I already know who Andrea is, and I have been following your zero equipment workout for years now, even though I had to interrupt it in different periods. So thank you, Andrea. Good to see you here. Thank you. I remember you very well. I know that you've been giving support for. You've been really here for years, man. Yeah, I know that. I know at least 3.5 years, at least. So thank you. I really appreciate you. Yeah. Of course. No. I really, first of all, I have good memory. Second of all, uh, I make an effort to remember people who miss sporting for a while, and I just don't have the. Unfortunately, I don't have the time and like mental bandwidth to reach out to people. Maybe who knows, at some point, if when I get some assistants that can do some stuff for me, and then I can spend some time reaching out to people just for the sake of showing my appreciation. But it's still, this is still a one man mission. I'm doing everything on my own. So just know that, man, I see you and I appreciate you. Stark saying the way out of nihilism for me was hope that there are some things that are beyond us, the things we do matter even if we can't see it right now. I think that's a beautiful way to go through life, to believe that things that we do matter. And that's why I said previously, like, things do matter and things that we do matter. And on one hand, that's a great responsibility and a great weight, but a great responsibility to carry. Trad, thank you for everything again. David, I have to go now. Thank you, brother. Thank you for sticking around. I appreciate you, and hopefully we'll talk soon. Nesvo, maybe Nesvo. How do I start reading? Start reading things that you find interesting. Don't listen to anyone. In terms of, you have to read the Russian classics or you have to read philosophy or psychology. Like maybe you would like to start reading comic books. So for Nesvo, the question is there anything that you're interested in? Is there anything that you would find interesting? Andrea, now I take the stairs every single time just because of you. It's been years that I take the stairs now. Man, thank you. Listen, there's now responsibility on me to keep living up to the standards that I've set. And I can tell you, man, I've been following the standards that I've set. So it's at least two of us are taking the stairs. So thank you, brother, for appreciating the messages that I'm spreading. One last thing. What are your thoughts on Naval? Man. That can become a long answer. I think when it comes to understanding of the digital age and success in digital age, he's a great mind. But pay attention. I said success in the digital age, because when he showed up on that Joe Rogan podcast, and his How to Get Rich Without Getting Lucky, when he talks about leverage and where we are going in terms of digital age, I think that could be like a mini course in school in terms of foundations of the digital age. So his understanding in that and how he presents his knowledge in his thread of getting rich without getting lucky and Joe Rogan podcast. And I know he's done other podcasts, but those two are, I think, are enough. I think he's great there. However, Andrea is going. Talk to you soon, brother. Bye bye. But I think time will show that Naval, as more broadly as a thinker, is naive at best when it comes to some things. And let's just keep it at naive. I wouldn't want to throw insults, but like a couple of years ago, because he's a utopian thinker, a couple of years ago, or I think even in the Joe Rogan podcast, not a couple of years ago, like 7 years ago, 6 years ago, Joe Rogan podcast, he presented this idea that if everyone knew how to program, we would be living in a utopian world. And he basically described the most childish idea. And no one ever called him out for this. That's because we don't have enough people who study philosophy. by studying, I don't mean studying at school, but studies philosophy for the sake of understanding themselves, understanding human nature, and psychology as well. Because he presented the idea, if everyone knew how to code, we would be living in this perfect society where everyone gets to follow their passion. And it's when you look at, because we are now arriving at the point where, because of ChatGPT and other LLMs, we are arriving at a point where it's pretty much the same as if everyone knew how to code in terms of what people can do. And we are seeing some terrible, terrible, terrible thing. Of course, there are benefits. Of course, I'm not someone who is saying like AI is exclusively bad. I'm just saying like social media slowly but surely is getting destroyed with inauthentic content. Crime is going to, new type of crime is arriving with deep fakes and with fake voice. Like elderly are going to be obliterated with phone scams and even with video scams. Like, that's the outcome of a society where everyone is proficient in technology, or where everyone gets the benefits of someone extremely proficient in technology. So even actually there is one person that called out one I'm not sure who it was, but one person that somewhat called out Naval when he said that we would live in this perfect society when everyone learns how to code. Someone called him out and said, like, now we have school shooters, and I don't know, maybe now YouTube is going to ban me because of me mentioning school, bam bam bam. So imagine a world where that troubled person doesn't have to go buy guns, because now they have technology and they have infinite more ways to bring suffering to others. Infinite more ways. And someone will say, okay, but they will not hurt them physically because they will have guns. How do you know? How do you know? They will, they will use technology to maybe produce even greater physical and psychological suffering. So yeah, you see, I went on a rant. So yeah, I mean, I don't want to discourage you from reading him. Once again, a great foundations of understanding the digital age, and more precisely success in digital age. But when it comes to as a broader, some people want to call him a philosopher. He has, I think, some work to do on understanding human nature. And I know that sounds narcissistic, like I'm, posing myself as someone who knows more. But yeah, man, thank you for sticking around to hear my answer. I had to give you a short rant, but still, great resource of knowledge on digital success. I want to go back to A saying how he found out about Greg Rich. Macrobiotic mentor recommended him to me. I did three of their online courses at the two. Yeah, I know about their institute. Okay. Macrobiotic philosophy overlaps with Naikan Morita stoicism. Okay, this is new for me. This is something very interesting for me. Can you point me to a reading resource if you're still here? Can you point me to a reading resource? I'm not ready now to dive into a book because I have a lot of books that I'm currently reading, but can you point me to a reading resource on macrobiotic philosophy? Okay. George Osava. I'm not sure how to pronounce it, but yeah, anyway. So maybe I can find an article or very, very interesting. Thank you for this. Amazing. Thank you. How did you get into this? Alessandro is asking, David, are you planning to write another book? I really appreciate the art of showing up. Thank you. I appreciate you. I want to write. I want to write more books, but I have to become clear and specific on what the next book is going to be, and that's the next one is supposed to be the proper book. Art of Showing Up was a project of just delivering the thing without too much preparation and without too much consideration for the, how do you call it, strategic part. So it was like, let me give this, and only what is necessary, not a single word more, at the expense of maybe it coming off less serious. The next one is going to be a more challenging project, and I need to become more clear on what it is. And I'm drawn towards the idea of writing on nuanced understanding of psychological and mental health, something that a lot of people have reacted well, or just reacted to me writing on how anxiety, depression, panic can be signs of psychological health, not illness. And yeah, so that's something that I want to write about. He said, okay, you found the macrobiotic philosophy through your own search of meaning, for meaning. That's beautiful. Bendegus, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing correctly. Apologies if I'm not. How many years do you think we have left on this planet as humanity? Oof, that's a tough one. Fadeva, you're so cute. Thank you. I appreciate you. You are cute as well. How many years do you think we have left on this planet as humanity? That's what a question. What a question. Now, as we are entering the final, I would say, the kind of the final stage of this life. Tough one, I believe on one side I believe in human capacity to adapt and to learn, although it seems like we're not learning a lot from history. History is repeating itself in many ways, and we continue making some stupid mistakes in the way that we deal with each other individually and as nations, as religious or religions, countries. But on the other side, I believe humans have this capacity to adapt, and as much as I'm often disappointed in humanity, I'm also counting that there is some essence in us that will allow us to persist. But who I'm always reminded of? I'm reminded of Albert Camus, or Albert Camus, whatever the correct pronunciation. He says, as much as Christianity is pessimistic about the individual and optimistic about humanity, he says, I am pessimistic about humanity but optimistic about the individual. So I will unpack that. And this is not my critique of Christianity. Camus was, of course, critiquing Christianity to some extent, but I think more important thing right now is to focus on what he's optimistic about. So Christianity is pessimistic about the individual, because Christianity is viewing every individual as deeply flawed and broken and sinful, but optimistic about humanity, because humanity as a whole will be I don't want to not to now butcher this, but humanity as a whole, there is hope for humanity as a whole. But so Camus says he is the opposite. He's looking at humanity and is pessimistic about humanity, but he's hopeful and optimistic for the individual. So meaning he believes in the individual doing the right thing, and individual uh, learning from our collective mistakes, and the individual resisting and the individual rebelling. And I have to say that I share that opinion. I'm not saying that I completely disagree with Christianity looking the individual as flawed. But I'm more optimistic and hopeful about the individual than I am about humanity. So you know what? Of course, one of my main concerns is AI. Besides all of the wars and hate we have for each other, and how things are unraveling around the world, uh, I would say that my main concern is AI, and what is going to do with what is going to do to what it means to be human. That's my main concern, because that can be a very slow and unnoticeable extinction. Lars von Mars. Wow. Do you think humanity will wipe itself out instead of initiating evolution? Yeah, basically now, this is you see what I'm talking about. With AI, I'm not sure if it's going to be violent takeover of the robots, like they're going to just, I'm worried about the slow, quiet extinction via slow, quiet extinction via renouncing or relinquishing what it means to be human. So already you have people whose best friends are ChatGPT, is ChatGPT. Then you have people who are asking ChatGPT or whatever their preferred LLM is about. They're asking it about everything, from dating advice to sharing their childhood trauma to asking, what they should eat, and then slowly but surely outsourcing their self-trust. So when you stop trusting in yourself, and you also stop trusting in humanity, and that can lead us somewhere sad and scary. Oh wow. Hey, I like what I know the Irish singer O'Connor said, God needs to be rescued from religion. Wow. This is wow. God needs to be rescued from religion. I have to say that I understand, and I agree with this one to a large extent. I don't want to. I know. I really don't want to discourage anyone uh, from practicing their religion in the way that they want. Especially because I have people in my life that are practicing religion, and I know that it makes them better people. But I also do believe that not believe, I know that the vast majority of people who claim to be religious and go to church or mosque or this or that temple, that the vast majority of those people don't have true faith. And it's not even, even if they are good people and following the commandments of their religion, that's even out of the question. It's just that a lot of them, don't how did Jung say, or someone, or like, religion is protection from experience of God, something like that. So I think him and O'Connor would agree. How is it? I'm going to try to find it. Jung. Uh, okay. Religion is a defense against the experience of God, said Carl Jung. Well, religion is a defense against the experience. So, I mean, yeah, again, for anyone out there, if you found faith, I'm happy for you, genuinely happy for you. So don't be offended. Don't recognize yourself in my critique of religion. But yeah, I mean, yeah, religion is the what once again. So religion is a defense against the experience of God. Like basically, I come from a region where my region made me so cynical about religion, and I've had to spend years and years learning to appreciate and respect religion, because my region made me hate religion. And again, now I'm at a very good place where I can appreciate it, and where I can see the beautiful side of a religion. But I've seen the most hypocritical and hateful individuals, especially hateful, like the lack of empathy and the hatred that I've seen in the most religious people in my country. Yeah, that affects you, and that stays with you. So yeah, Dr. Faust. uh, uh, what constitutes uh, true faith for you? I myself am looking for an answer. Oof, I'm not. Oof, that's. I don't want to give myself the right to say what constitutes true faith, because what constitutes true faith for me, I think there's something that I don't see it as something that I could express in words. Maybe someone else could, maybe someone else could, but I'm great not fan, but I'm greatly influenced by Soren Kierkegaard, Danish philosopher and theologian. So he's Christian existentialist, and I believe in his idea of subjective truth. So for him, truth uh, is a relation or relationship. So are you in relation with what your truth is? So when we talk about faith, there can be no definition. So I'm not trying to avoid your answer. I'm not trying to be Jordan Peterson here. What do you mean by true? What do you mean by faith? What do you mean by mean? What do you mean by constitute? No, I'm not trying to do that. I'm not trying to avoid. I genuinely think, again, because I believe in Kierkegaard's idea of the subjective truth. A subjective truth, so it cannot be explained. It's something that you feel, and only someone else who also has felt it can understand it on some level. Okay, I see Paul Tillich being quoted here. Okay, I have to acknowledge this. So to answer you, Dr. Faust, you know, what is example of a subjective truth? Uh, because I have a dog, or because I know what the type of love is, I don't even want to say the words I have a dog. I don't have him. I don't have him. We found each other. I've been blessed in this life to know what it's like to love an animal deeply, and for that animal to give you loyalty. And that is a subjective truth. Like, I can spend days explaining it, but another person who never felt the loyalty and love of an animal, and never developed that love for a specific animal, that person can never understand it. I can spend days and days trying to explain it. So that's an example of a subjective truth. It cannot be transferred through definitions. And yeah, once again, I wasn't trying to avoid your question about true fate, but the matter is that I'm not sure if I can define it, not only to you, but to myself as well. Neurosis is the way of avoiding non-being by avoiding being. Paul Tillich and Otto Rank says pretty much the same. And okay, Stark brother, Paul Tillich or Tillich, one of the greatest influences as well on Rollo May. And I have another here from Rollo May. And by the way, the courage to be from Paul Tillich, also monumental book. I have another. The meaning of anxiety by Rollo May. About Kierkegaard and Paul Tillich. Also, both of them are. I mean, it's not a book about them, but both of them are heavily quoted in this book. Where is here? Paul Tillich, giant. Rollo May said Paul Tillich is not the latest, the last American philosopher. So Otto Rank said pretty much the same. He said something. A lot of people want to avoid the depth, not depth, not like being deep, but depth. Okay, I will send in the chat. English is sometimes difficult, a lot of people want to avoid the depth of depth, the depth of depth. Okay, so depth of you can see in the chat, depth of depth, so they avoid life. Oh, okay, Stark, you're okay. You heard of Paul Tillich in Meaning of Anxiety. You really want to read his book now, man? Like, okay, you see, we understand each other. We understand each other. Gogus, do you have any Bitcoin? That's personal information. That's personal information, but yes, I do, and I believe that we deserve currency that is ours, and that and that we are not Bogi. Pozdrav, druže. Ja sam iz Crne Gore, but I have to keep talking in English because my audience is English speaking, and I don't. Brat. But yeah, I'm not living in Montenegro anymore. So yeah. Pozdrav veliki za Banja Luku i za cijeli region. Okay, what is Dr. Faust saying? Could you elaborate on how subjective truth relates to morality? I'm going through a thing similar to you, but the same definition of subjective truth is if it's pursued in good faith, and if it fulfills you. Okay, so just a second. If pursuit is in good faith, and if it fulfills you, is what is moral, and the only objective thing about it. Okay, that's all. I think it is a matter of your position. Because now we cannot say here is the how do I put it? Again, we cannot provide the definition. I would put it like this. For example, you have Jean-Paul Sartre, however they pronounce it, French with their difficult last names. So he has the concept of good and bad faith, and if you follow his, following his line of thought, you can be in good faith and commit what is societally considered immoral and wrong things. I personally wouldn't go that far, you know. I personally wouldn't go that far because that's there are different existential positions, and for Sartre, you can commit wrong things in good faith, which I know sounds weird, but it actually you can understand it when you read him. It's not like it doesn't make sense on a rational level. It makes sense on a rational level. It just sounds wrong and maybe potential excuse for doing immoral things. But how I see it is, there is one great also by Kierkegaard. So the just a second. So something along these lines. The extent of your truth, the truth that you are in relation to, is how much this truth asks of you. So hear me out. This can now be a great this can be also an argument for Christianity, for example. Okay, so now hear me out. Before we had some critique of religion. So subjective truth is a relation. You are in relationship with that truth, and Kierkegaard says the extent of the truth, or the heaviness, the weight of the truth, is quote unquote proportional to how much this truth asks of you. And okay, now we proceed to analyze this from a moral standpoint. If my subjective truth is that I am a free spirit and I want to have sex with another person every night, and there are no rules in life, if that is my subjective truth, what does that truth ask of me? Nothing. No commitment and no sacrifice. That truth is giving me a green card to just do what I want. What kind of truth is that? But if someone says my subjective truth is that I have found faith in my religion, and then you see, what does that truth ask of you? It asks a lot. And that's where I can respect religion. That's where I can. Now we are back to true faith. If someone says they have found faith, are they in relationship with that truth, with that faith, by taking on what that truth asks of them? That's how I see it. Christian Stajkovski. Pozdrav, brate. You're such an inspiration. I've made many changes in my life. Thank you, brother. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Thank you for the support. Švajcaria. Originally, where you're from? I mean, family, because this sounds like Balkan name, right? Bogi, you should study more academical philosophy, not focus on the few popular philosophy books. Try starting with Kant. I've studied philosophy, but what is my and definitely not a few popular philosophy books. I'm not sure for what purpose do you mean study academic philosophy, because I also have, through studying it, grown to not respect it, because when you look at what academic philosophy is now, it's just a group of intellectuals doing, pardon my language, mental masturbation, trying to see who is going to publish more and sound smarter. But how many of them are changing people's lives? And I'm not trying to make an overcorrection from academic philosophy to new age spirituality, where they don't like have they don't spend any time trying to kind of investigate human existence. Far from it. But when I said existence, that kind of gives a clue where I'm going with this. More of existentialist philosophy and existential psychology and depth psychology is what I'm interested in, because maybe I'm not sure if maybe you're new, maybe you now found me just on YouTube. I've been writing for a while, and I'm interested in philosophy to the extent that it can help people. And I've been disappointed largely in terms of academic philosophy. So I know you're recommending Kant, and I understand your recommendation. I think I understand your recommendation in the sense of studying the greats. But I'm as Camus says, there is only one there is only one question, that is suicide. So I'm not concerned with how many dimensions the mind has, and I'm not concerned with a lot of philosophical theories that are just intellectual exercise. Christian, originally from Macedonia. Pozdrav, brate. Veliki pozdrav za tebe. Okay. Jack has a heavy hitting question. Okay. Actually, let me just kind of scroll a bit. Scroll. Okay. I see Bogi asked previously, do you believe in a priori objective truth? I do not. That's the to give a quick. Of course, we could expand it, but to be honest and give a quick answer. No. Okay, couple of more. Oh, Ace asking, David, do you have an official email address that is public? I do not. But okay, I don't know if you're still here. If you want to contact me, drop me a message on Instagram and just reference that you are from the YouTube live. Rolo Mays, Putnik. Odakle si ti, Putnik? Putnik, just second. Putnik, maybe not. Putnik, I'm scrolling. Aidar, my brother. Man Search for Himself. Extremely important book. Extremely important. Great book. Jack is saying, what if the need to convince others their life matters is just your way of avoiding the fear that yours might not? I would say that's a legitimate argument, That's before, when I answered to someone who asked about, how to deal with nihilism and the sense, the feeling that nothing matters. That's why I said it should not be my task to rationally convince the person that things matter. Of course, to provide some maybe support, maybe some guidance, not just me, but anyone. But it's a process that one person, I think, has to go through internally to arrive once again, or for the first time ever, at the belief that life matters and what we do matters and everything matters. So I think your argument is legitimate. The need to convince others that their life matters could very well be motivated by avoiding the fear that our life or one's life might not matter. And Dr. Faust, been following you for a year and a half. You and Epicurus is a good guy. He's a good guy. introduced many into Jung. Sorry if it sounds too inquisitive, but what do you think about Jung's consumption of psychedelics and identifying here? What do I think about Jung's consumption of psychedelics and identifying his experience with God? I believe he was also the one who said something like, be careful or be wary of the unearned wisdom, something like that, right? So I don't know a lot about his consumption of psychedelics, but I think everyone is free to experiment in the way that they want. I think there is potential for therapeutic uses of psychedelics in the future with proper guidance. But I also think people who rely on psychedelics for a spiritual exploration can easily go too far and try to take a shortcut to conclusions that have to be earned. And I think we see a lot of that. Like you look in the US, like all the main proponents of psychedelic exploration are like very, and I want to even say embarrassing people, like the Aubrey Marcus type, and those people who, what I want to see. I want to see a grounded person. I want to see a grounded person like Rollo May. I want to see someone like Rollo May talk about psychedelics and uh, how to say, like talk about psychedelics, talk about their therapeutic uh, usages. I'm really like fed up with Burning Man type of people. Burning Man the festival. So those type of people. I don't want those people to be our guides when it comes to psychedelic uh, revolution or whatever. Someone just wrote Schopenhauer, and I'm not sure in reference to what that was, but Schopenhauer is one of the goats. Of course, his conclusions are not the most encouraging, but in terms of his capacity and also his analysis of human nature, one of the most underrated ones. So Schopenhauer definitely one of the goats. Stepan, I believe it's important to be honest with one's intentions. Couldn't agree more. Just the questioning on a deeper level, what are intentions behind things we do? Thank you. Talk to you soon, Juan. And we are wrapping up soon. We are 2 hours in, so let's do a couple of more minutes to see what. So Juan is saying it's so difficult to sometimes focus on the task at hand when all of a sudden all I could think about is takeover of the AI or takeover of AI, and what's the point of getting my shit together? Valid point. Uh, this is a really valid point. I'm not. There is not much to think about it. I can relate to you. I can relate to you because it happens to me almost every day. That in the middle of writing something, I want to stop writing that, and I just want to write about the dangers of AI. But then I would every day be writing just about the dangers of AI. But I also need to honor my path and also write about certain things that I've committed to writing on, and also other things in my life. There are other things in my life that I need to do. I need to move through life, and I cannot just give up. And for who was it, Juan? You know what I would say? First of all, I think it's good. It's good that you are paying attention to what's happening. So we clearly need more people like you who are disturbed by what is happening, right? I mean, that's my belief. So I'm not happy that you are experiencing discomfort, but I'm happy that more people are recognizing how important and problematic the current situation is. On the other side, you cannot be paralyzed. You cannot be paralyzed by fear, because I'm not now trying to, sound cringe, but we literally need you. So we need you. The society needs members who are aware and able to function. So you need to practice zooming in and addressing the task at hand, and not running away and completely dismissing the problem that we are facing as society, but recognizing that you have to take care of yourselves and you have to manage your life in order to, even to some extent, be able to address what is happening. That's what that's what I'm saying to myself. Like, I'm not going to become a sheep and just say, okay, AI, it is what it is, it's happening, and I'm not going to, you know, I cannot do anything. I'm just going to surrender to whatever. No, never. I believe in human capacity to make a change. I believe also in it's terrible that today word activism has become a bad word because of uneducated fools. So what I want to say is, what I'm saying to you is the same thing that I'm saying to myself. We have to zoom in and do things in our life that allow us to keep moving while staying aware and looking for opportunities to make some kind of difference. I think for now the biggest difference is that you don't let yourself be completely how would I put it? You don't let yourself be run over by how overwhelming the current situation is, and that even means getting familiar with AI and seeing to what extent can you leverage and maybe leverage it to help you while protecting your humanity, protecting your essence, protecting your creativity. I will never outsource my creativity, but I have to become familiar with AI to see, okay, what is some boring part that someone said, don't let yourself be a victim. Exactly. Gogus. True words, bro. Don't let yourself be yeah, I agree with you, bro. So to some extent be familiar with it, also protect. So I will never ask, okay, here, making a commitment that I already made to myself here to share it publicly. I will never ask AI for advice regarding my relationship. Never. Like, for me, that would be psychological, emotional, spiritual suicide. So yeah, I think there are small acts of rebellion. You stay a human. Juan, Gogus, Dr. Faust here. We have Aidar. We have many people. You stay human. You stay human. Let's us commit to staying human. Let's commit to staying human with our acts of defiance, but still not be run over. Expose yourself, grow and evolve. That's a good way to put it. Aidar previously asked your opinion on stopping looking for external validation on the way to being myself. You know what, brother? What I will first acknowledge? I will first acknowledge that there is not a single human being, probably, who. Let me just phrase it properly. So there is not a single human being who has zero desire for external validation. So then our journey changes a bit. We are not seeking to eliminate completely the seeking for external validation. We are trying to not make it such a major factor in our lives. We are trying to make it not influence our behavior so much. We are trying to make it not affect our daily life so much. But we are definitely not trying to like surgically remove that human part of ourselves that is seeking external validation. So first I would go through the acceptance that there will always be part of ourselves, or we will always to some extent seek external validation. I think that would be healthy to accept. And then when it comes to stop looking to some extent or reduce it, of course, this both internal and external work. By external I mean trying to adjust our behavior and see in what ways can we change our behavior without necessarily even having to change how we feel inside. So can we go through that that any type of social interaction, can we go through it embracing the pain of uncertainty? Because the pain of uncertainty meaning you are questioning, I'm going into that interaction, I'm questioning, is my posture right, and am I speaking right in the way that will make these people respect me? So I'm constantly questioning, is what I said, did it sound confident enough, did it sound cool enough, did it sound did it sound professional enough, whatever. So I'm questioning and questioning and questioning. So for what I've noticed from overthinkers in social situations who are asking for external validation or seeking for external validation, every single line of interaction is analyzed. Okay, was this good enough? Then what did they mean when they said that? And their face was like this or like that. So what I would practice is, okay, I'm going into this social interaction embracing uncertainty and just, I cannot say forcing myself, but practicing walking away from it. By walking away I mean when it's finished, walking away from it, not thinking about changing anything. I mean, because we cannot change anything, but also not to some extent preventing the interrupting the pattern. So pattern interruption. Interruption is also like a psychological concept. So pattern interruption, where, excuse me, where when you sense the thought loop coming up, engage in a healthy and constructive distraction. Why not distraction, but distraction to not let yourself completely like go down the rabbit hole of analyzing every single aspect of that particular social interaction. So that's just one aspect of, or one of maybe many things that we could do when it comes to reducing how much we seek external validation. But brother, let's talk about this in Sisyphus society, because you are make a post about it so that we can engage in it, okay? Because Idar here is a member of my community, so I can, yeah, we can talk about it in the community. Make a post, and I'm sure not only myself but others will answer as well. Okay, I want to wrap it up soon, but I think we are going to wrap it up soon. But Christian deserves our time and attention and support. I believe in this problem. So anyone else is free to comment. But man, this is a big one. What if I love my girlfriend, but she always had problems with weight, and after a couple of years, this is becoming a problem for me? Man, like thank you for opening up about this, and thank you for this requires some courage to ask this question. Okay, so you're saying first of all, important. It's love. It's not a short relationship. It's not something superficial. You love this person. Jack, Jack is saying leave her. Wow. Marco, just a second. Marco DJ is saying this was a great live, really a big value bomb. Thanks, Balkan. Balkan Alex Hormozy. It's really trying to understand something that most other people don't. Big support. Thank you, brother. Možda, brate, I'm not sure. Marko. Brate, vjerovatno si ti naš, jeli? Pozdrav, brate. Thank you, brother. Thank you for the support. Although I will not take the title of Balkan Alex Hormozy because I'm definitely no business guru. I would love if I was able to have the 5% of what he has, but we'll see. Maybe someday if I sell a million books. Thank you, brother, for the support. Now back to Christian. I don't agree with Jack saying leave her. Man, Jack, you're ruthless, brother. You're ruthless. He says Christian says he loves her. He loves his girlfriend. It's always a question: uh, have you had discussions around it? Can you, in a loving manner, encourage her? Can you explain that it's not about physical appearance? It's not just about physical appearance, but I think proper thing is to say it's not about physical appearance. It's about how many years can you spend together and how much can you enjoy your time together if you're both healthy versus how many problems you can encounter because of all of the health complications that come with being overweight. And man, again, I don't know enough context of your life, but man, going on a long walk with her every day, getting those steps in, preparing food together. Are you I don't know if you're willing, and if you are willing and able to devote that much time to helping her, by going on walks with her slowly, then maybe introducing some physical training, something more intense than walking, although walking is heavily underrated because it's low impact and great way to burn calories. Again, preparing food together, having those conversations where in a loving way you encourage her. But on the other side, I understand that every person has the responsibility to take care of themselves, and you cannot, you can encourage her, you can try to encourage her, you can try to influence her, but you can never make the decision for her to change, unfortunately. So i'm i'm hoping I'm hoping there is still chance for you to have these healthy discussions and for her to be encouraged by you. But I'm also hoping that you can allow yourself to know that you cannot save anyone. Unfortunately, we cannot save anyone from unhealthy habits and self-destructive behavior and thought patterns. We can provide all of the support and encouragement, but ultimately they are the ones who need to save themselves by making a decision. So yeah, brother. Okay, Jack was joking. That's good to know. By the way, there are so many okay, just AI. Why are so many people using AI as therapists for their mental health? Why is that? Because a lot of people are struggling with mental health. A lot of people are thinking that they have mental health problems when they are maybe encountering challenges that are to be dealt in a different way, and mental health support isn't affordable for a lot of people. So that's also one problem. We are back to some economic stuff or economical stuff. Because Dr. Faust, before saw someone mentioned capitalism, and I see Dr. Faust said, if you were able to upload your consciousness to the digital space without restrictions of capitalists, would you do it? Not at this moment, and I hope that my thinking never changes on that matter. But here, Miss Melanie said something very important. Yes, but it's his perception. This comes back to his ideals. I believe, talking about Christian and his situation with his girlfriend. And if I'm understanding correctly, it's implying that this comes back to his ideals when it comes to weight and his girlfriend being overweight. That's a good point, I have to say. I mean, at some point we have to acknowledge, I believe we have to acknowledge at some point the potential health disadvantages and dangers of being overweight. I believe we have to acknowledge that as an objective medical fact, but it is also true that there are ranges of BMI. There are ranges of BMI, and it's more nuanced than just overweight. What? Yeah, it's right. We don't know how that person looks and what their health situation is. Arya saying she has to choose what's good for her. You can only do so much. Yeah. Thank you once again, Christian. Okay, we need to wrap it up, or I need to wrap it up. Let's all buy Bitcoin and be free. Yeah, I'm not a big crypto bro. I don't talk about it much, but I think people deserve freedom and people deserve privacy. And people deserve not to be abused by their government and scammed by their government or governments. And yeah. So I'm not saying I'm completely opposed to the idea of government. I'm not an anarchist, but Philip, can truth be person? That's I consider this a love question. I'm going to wrap it up, but I will just say I consider this a matter of love. Can you find your truth in another person? I believe that's a beautiful idea of love. That's how I see it. I don't know about you. Maybe your question was implying something else, but that's how I see it. Sve najbolje, brate. Sve najbolje. Okay, friends, let's wrap it up. Thank you all. I'm sorry if I didn't answer someone's question, but you see that there was a ton of questions, and I still think we had a interesting discussion or interesting discussions. Thank you for everyone who stuck around for so long, or for even a couple of minutes. Thank you for engaging with each other. Thank you for asking amazing questions and sharing your opinions. And when am I doing my next live? I'm not sure. That's a good question. At the moment, I cannot commit to a regular schedule, but next one I will try to announce it at least 24 hours in advance. I will not, just 30 minutes before. Oh, Jack! Wow, Jack was all along. Pozdrav, brate. Pozdrav, brate. Sve najbolje. Thank you, Eleazar. Thank you, Juan. So yeah, Arya, thank you as well. And I will try to announce next live at least 24 hours in advance rather than 30 minutes in advance like this time. So thank you all. Have a great rest of your day, start of your day, night, depending on where you are. And I will talk to you soon. Bye-bye.